along. Speaking of the OC, is this Vicki and this Tamra? And I've said this before on my show on
Ugh.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't got a team. I will observe each round. Choosing between Vicky and Tamara is like choosing between Melissa and Teresa. I mean, Vicky is, I find, to be one of the most annoying housewives in the history of housewives. I have had real world dealings with Vicky in the past even 6 months, and I find her to be out of touch with the modern society. I find her to be extremely annoying as a human being. And I find her to be just trying so hard and so fucking desperate. The rat that scurries is an actual rat with beady eyes. She has no soul. She is truly an evil human being. As Vicky says, her daughter doesn't even talk to her. Vicky said it, not me. We'll get into what they said. So I don't have a side because I choose neither. But what can you tell us about this? Because they threw some pretty low blows. Tamara accused her of being desperate, using her for clickbait. I think that's true. She accused her of needing the money. Well, Tamara makes like $900,000 from being on the show and a lot from the podcast. Vicki is trying desperately to have her podcast not fail, like her other podcasts that have failed. So everything Tamara said about Vicki, I feel was actually true. And then everyone thing Vicki said about Tamara, I find was true. You know,
Me
you
too.
are evil. No one asks you why your own flesh and blood doesn't speak to you. It's not every day a daughter doesn't speak to her mother, and everyone's afraid of you. No one wants to come after you, and your entire storyline is coming after other people, so you don't have to expose your life. I'm like, true. Vicky and Tamara, you're all speaking the truth finally. Oh, and I think Tamara also said the only thing Vicky didn't lie about was cancer or something about the cancer. So, what can you tell us about this? You got anything to
Okay, well,
share any details? Because I just skimmed over it.
I freaking love. I actually was thinking the exact same thing you were thinking, which was eat whatever they said about each other, completely true. Completely true. And I did think because Tamra tried to clap back at Vicky and was like, over the years, I have shared everything about my life. And then she started listing things and she was like, baptisms and getting married again. And I was like, that's really the list that she did, aside from not speaking to her daughter, it was like not that revealing. I'm like, well, I mean, Vicky had a guy who was like a scammer, faked cancer. I mean, Don was like beloved. Don's gone. Steve's gone. Steve, like, who knows, right? I mean, Vicky lost her mom while on camera. I mean, I agree with you. I thought it was back and forth. It's getting very nasty. And I think the most interesting thing, it really is two people. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens because you have, to your point, Vicky's really trying to make the podcast a huge success. So far, it's doing well, but it's doing well because RHOC is in
It's
season.
doing like, I think, moderately well. I think
Okay.
moderately well. That's like a
On the
positive.
charts. On
Yeah,
the
it's
charts.
doing better than maybe I might have thought, but it's not like I don't think it's a huge hit. I think
But
it's
the
too
other,
early to tell. I just think it's too early to tell.
correct, correct. I mean, look, I hate to be right, but I said this about Rachel Levis's podcast because Rachel Levis's podcast was in the top 200 podcasts in the world for a couple of months, and now it's not. And it's probably never going to return. It'll return there here and there, maybe when if Vanderpump Rules comes back in season and when this lawsuit is revealed because or resolved because of course Rachel can't talk about the lawsuit while it's happening or that's going to work
Well,
against
her PR apparently is doing a podcast. Apparently, her
Juliet,
PR is taking over.
our girl
Yes,
Juliet.
she
Why
is. I
didn't we
gotta look it
get it?
up. Apparently, she is taking over, I think, for the whole week. I don't know how many episodes Miss Levis drops, but she is taking over Rachel Goes Rogue this week, and she is talking about the lawsuit because Rachel cannot. She says, I'm talking about it. I'm taking over, like Tabitha Salon takeover. And I'll be talking all about the lawsuit because Rachel can't. We'll talk about the PR strategy, everything. Yep. 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 So that's actually
Wow.
happening.
Okay. Fascinating. But anyway, it's my point is hard to stay top of the charts. And when we say top of the charts, we mean top 200 in the world, right? Those are just like that's enormous to do. But Rachel's is on the charts in some capacity like mine is, TV and film like yours is. So I what I think is the thing that I thought was most fascinating about this whole Vicki Tamra back and forth is
Hmm.
really what's been revealed is that these other cast members are afraid of Tamra. And I actually thought that was most fascinating because I could see it for a couple reasons. One, Tamra and Teddy have an enormous podcast. So Tamra has a lot of power now on the microphone.
Hmm.
And so I could see them being afraid of Tamra that way. And then, my question for you is because you're much more of an insider is, I mean, is Tamra sort of becoming a little bit like the Teresa Giudice in that she's kind of beloved by Andy, in tight with Andy, and these women know that they can't go all out against Tamra because does Tamara have the ear of the kingmaker and that could impact them? That seems really what Vicky's getting at. And to me, the most interesting part.
Well, I think yes and yes. I always say, why would you want to make an enemy of me in the Housewives world when I have a microphone in front of me? So I do think, I mean, Tamara spews off her mouth on the two T's. And look, I think that they are sorry they gave Teresa so much power on New Jersey, especially with all the stuff going on now with the bloggers that I think they would love to get rid of Teresa. I still don't see it, but I don't think they're going to let Tamara have that much power. I think they will cut her off at the knees, but I do think that, she is a vital part of the show. I don't think at the end of this season, no matter what happens, even 2 episodes in, that Tamra Judge is going to be on the chopping block for RHOC. I think there's no chance of that. You know what I mean? So I think that yeah, she goes after people, and I think no one wants to get in her way. I just thought it was more like on the show, like this woman is nasty and she will come for you. And we all know she goes low. But apparently Vicky goes low. I mean, Vicky's a little bit of a hypocrite talking about, in her podcast, she wants to empower women. She doesn't just want to do a gossip podcast. Well, saying why doesn't your daughter speak to you? Like, that's disgusting. I mean, that's going pretty low, which is fine. I love going low. I'm like Larsa Pippen. When they go low, I go low.
Go lower.
But yeah, but you got to be honest with yourself. Like, I am not above it. If you go low, it's just so easy for me. I mean, I think of these responses within 30 seconds. So I'll go lower. Why not? If I care, like two T's, I don't care, which we can get into. But so I think they are afraid of Tamra, but I don't think that it really matters. I agree with everything they both said. I think
I
it's
do too.
over.
I do.
I think it's over. I don't think this is a fake fight. This isn't like Teresa Melissa. I think Vicky for a while has really hated Tamra and she's brought
What
back
does
and
Shannon like?
Shannon says that's it. She doesn't think she could ever be friends with Tamara again. Why? It's like I've said recently many times. There's people that try to come back in my life that are in the public eye. You know what Tamara is like, Shannon. So why are we most certain that we'll never be friends with her again? Perhaps it's like never. The answer is never. That's the only right answer here in the multiple choice on the SAT question. Like,